All right, so if chance can't get us to where we want to go to, how about natural selection? Can that help overcome the odds? And doesn't that explain the origin of life?
Well, this was another early idea about how to explain the origin of the information needed to build the first life. And it was the idea that, well, maybe natural selection, Darwin's process of sifting naturally between combinations that are going to give survival value and those that are not, maybe that process of natural selection can help create the information needed to build the first cell. But a very obvious problem emerged very quickly as people began to think about this. And I've got a slide that sort of shows this, that natural selection depends upon differential reproduction of already living organisms. And we're trying to explain the origin of the first life, so right away that kind of ought to raise a red flag. If natural selection only works once you've got living organisms that can copy themselves, then we're kind of begging the question, because we want to explain where the first organism came from. But if you go even deeper, natural selection depends upon information-rich DNA molecules and their ability to copy themselves. But what are we trying to explain when we explain the origin of life? We're trying to explain the origin of information-rich DNA molecules. And DNA replication also depends upon protein molecules, and we're trying to explain their origin as well. So if you invoke natural selection, you're invoking a process, namely the ability of DNA to copy itself, which presupposes the very thing you're trying to explain, which is information-rich DNA and proteins. So this would be a little like the absent-minded philosopher of science who used to be a professor who would walk home from class, trip and fall in a hole, and then realize, gee, to get out of the hole I need a ladder, but I know I can get the ladder. I'll climb out of the big hole, go get the ladder, jump back in, and then climb out. Well, it begs the question is, how does the professor get out of the big hole without the ladder? And this is the kind of problem that theories of prebiotic natural selection have run into. And one Nobel laureate, Christian de Duve, said that these theories have a problem, that theories of prebiotic natural selection need information, which implies they have to presuppose the very thing that needs to be explained in the first place. So these theories are also kind of a non-starter. There's another version of prebiotic natural selection called the RNA world, the idea that the first life arose from self-replicating RNA molecules. But as I've shown in my book, Signature in the Cell, those RNA molecules can only copy themselves if they too have lots of information to start with. And so even that scenario begs the question as to the origin of the information necessary to get a primitive replicator going.